And welcome back, everyone. This is UCLA Radio's Cold Emails and Hot Coffee. That was Speed Up by Mr. Pink Slip himself, who I have in the studio today. How are you, Pink?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing all right. Thanks for coming in. It was a real blessing. Pink is one of my personal production heroes. I got turned on to him a couple years back from a friend's recommendation, so it's very interesting, very cool to have him in today. Today's going to be a little bit different if you're just tuning in for this show, because the format, we're actually going to get a little more engineering, a little bit more technical, and a little bit more spicy with all the good stuff. So if you are in tuned, you're in luck. Pink, as a tradition on the show, just take 3 to 5 minutes. Just give me just anything you want to talk about as far as like your background, where you're from, how you got into music, any deep, dark secrets you have, what keeps you up at night. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if we're going to go that deep today. But my name is Pink Slip, and I'm producer, songwriter, artist, based in L.A. Not from L.A., though. Grew up in Atlanta, and born and raised in Georgia. Moved to Nashville when I was 18. Now I'm 22, and I just moved out to L.A. a few months ago. And we're in UCLA. First time on campus. Daniel's having us out. But I live a few miles away in Studio City, which is fitting because I have a studio in my house now, which is really cool. I have a Pink studio, actually. The whole Pink Slip thing started when I was at Belmont, and I was making music in the dorm rooms. And the first day of school, I literally, like, my parents had just dropped me off. I was a freshman, and I'm making music too loud. I had, like, the KRKs and a little MIDI keyboard.
The Rockets.
And in this small dorm room, not kidding, no bigger than this room, I had, like, full drum set, guitar, bass, amps, microphone in the booth, making music too loud, annoying all my room, like, people down the hall. And I got a knock on the door from the RA, and she wrote me up for playing music too loud and gave me a Pink Slip. So that's where the name comes from. So I put the Pink Slip on the wall, and then the next day my roommate got in trouble, and I put his Pink Slip on the wall, and then another Pink Slip, another one. And by the end of freshman year, first semester, I had like a grid of like 100 Pink Slips on my wall. There's all these stories about kids getting in trouble or this and that.
Yeah.
And I was recording everyone's demos at the time. I was kind of the kid on campus to, like, come in, give me $10, give me $5, I'll record you. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, let me just make some demos. So everyone called it Pink Slip Studio, and then everyone called me Pink Slip, and then it stuck. And then I started putting up music after that as my own project. My music's a lot of influence from kind of pop, but also R&B and urban music, also electronic and future-based hip-hop influences, and like to do fusion of all my favorite things all in the same universe of Pink Slip world,
Yeah. And especially, I think within all of your songs, they are spanning across very different genres, but at the same time, it still has that Pink Slip-esque vibe to it.
Yeah.
So let's go back to a little bit of your projects. From Belmont, what was like the first thing you ever put out?
If it's a song that you probably don't know unless you dive really deep. I think it's still on Bandcamp, but there's a song I did with my close friend Chloe Gilligan. She's an amazing songwriter based in Nashville, and now she's got a deal and she's doing her thing. I'm really proud of her. But when we were freshmen, we made a song called Dark in the Light. That's like this dark, like 808 trap banger.
All right.
Like stutter hi-hats and like 808s and stuff. And it was, I don't know. I don't think we had any idea what we were doing, but it came out and it kind of got some buzz around campus and people were talking about it. And I went from like 0 followers to like 1,000 followers on SoundCloud from that song. And that was kind of like my first Pink Slip song. Shortly after that, spring of like 2015, my freshman year still, I did a project called 3 Weeks of Beats, where I felt really down creatively, and I wasn't putting out as much music or making as much music as I wanted to. So I challenged myself to like write, produce, mix, and master a song every day for 21 days, and then put it all out on SoundCloud the day of, like exactly like as is, just raw, 1.5-minute, 2-minute beats, instrumentals. And did that for 21 days, and that was like a lot of traction too on campus in Nashville and on the internet, But that's off SoundCloud now. A few are on YouTube and like Bandcamp and stuff.
Right.
And I don't know. Once I put out my first EP, Pink Motel, last year, kind of wanted to just like start fresh and make it all cohesive and clean and everything.
And speaking about Pink Motel, is it Estef? Is that my
It's a
pronunciation?
Steph.
Estef. All right.
Yes.
The first song that I ever heard from Pink Slip, and I was kind of hinting at this beforehand, and me and Pink actually had a funny conversation outside before the show. The first song that I ever heard was Set It All with Pink Slip and Estef.
Yeah.
And my homie, Nicole, actually texted me around like 2 a.m. and said, like, Daniel, like, you have to check this shit out. And I was like, what the hell is this? So I play it on and I hear it and I'm like, damn, this is a slapper.
Thank you, bro.
And then she actually was like, yeah, and I also sent him like your mix too, like before, like when I first got like my Pioneer like DDJ SP2 and I was like making shitty little mixes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you do that? But she was like, yeah, I texted him like, and he was going to like solo like after like in a week or something, but I just let him know who you were. So she took a screenshot of it and I like kept that screenshot and I showed Pink. I was like, as soon as he came in here and said like, hey, like, this was like the moment that I like found out about you through
so
this
cool.
song.
That it's
Pink.
come full circle. And
I know. Now we're here at UCLA, you know, talking with the man himself. But speaking about the Pink Motel and Estef, how did you get to know her? What was like the creative process behind that? What brought that to fruition?
So Estef's super, super close friend of mine, and she is just like an incredibly talented songwriter and artist and just singer, vocalist, everything. She's just so incredibly talented and gifted. And she's from LA originally. She grew up in Redondo Beach, but went to school across the street at Marymount.
Right.
And we linked up in Nashville when we were both like 18 and totally slept on working with each other for like months, even if not like a full year. We were just friends, music friends, same circle. And the first session we did together wasn't Set It All, but the other song on my EP, Best For You.
Right.
And that's just like the first thing that we cooked up. And it was like this really special session where it was like a very pivotal session in my like kind of like path as a songwriter and producer and creative. So Steph's actually based in Nashville right now. We just finished up a 6-song project for her. I produced every song. She wrote every song, and that will be coming out. Maybe we can even sneak peek one of those songs on the air. But yeah, but we have a few coming out this spring that I'm really excited about. And that song came about. Set It All. How did that happen? Steph wrote that song and sent me just like a piano vocal version of that song while I was studying abroad in Australia like 2 or 3 years ago. And then I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And before you know it, like I put drums and bass and synths and whatever and kind of rearrange it. And then it just like kind of turned into what you hear now. But that song took a while to produce. I think I just kind of, some songs happen in a few hours and some songs take months. And that was one of those ones where it's like, I changed the snare drum like 100 times and changed the bass loop or changed the hi-hats like over and over until it just felt right. And it's funny because that was almost 2 or 3 years ago when I made that 2 years ago. So now I listen to it and I would change things, but that's just kind of how it goes when you make music and you make art. It's just like in the moment, whatever feels right. And you look back and it's like that era and you move on.
Yeah.
You look back too and you're like, I listened to some songs I made a few years ago. I'm like, what was I on? That's like crazy. But like, almost the lack of knowledge, like when you're making music earlier on, can inspire you to do things that aren't right, but are so right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
And speaking about collaboration as well as kind of making music like over and over again, talk to me about Pink Project. So as far as what my knowledge is, it was 24 hours.
Yeah.
Full 4 songs on the EP, right?
Yeah.
And then it was with like a bunch of collaborators and you just sat in the studio and just fleshed it out. So give me a little background to that. Yeah.
So essentially, big picture, when I say we, I mean myself, like 30 other creative collaborators of mine, artists, engineers, producers, songwriters, musicians, close friends, everybody came together in Nashville 6-8 months ago in June. We locked ourselves in a studio for 24 hours and we wrote a small project called Project Pink in 24 hours. And the idea kind of came from, I had a day, probably around the summertime in June where I had a session from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and a session from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. And I was like, oh my God, dude, I just made music for 18 hours straight. I was like, why don't I just do this for 24 hours, but then document it and like make a whole thing out about it?
Yeah.
And it was right before I moved, so I just want to have like one last send off with all my homies in Nashville to put something special together, which was really cool. And it was really special to just create something from the ground up with no pressure of it being the best thing in the world. Like, let's just have fun for the sake of like making cool music with cool people, and just, you know, do it for the love of creating. And that was really special. It was a really cool chance to like get a lot of my friends who make music together that haven't met each other and like see them collaborate. And it was cool to kind of wear like an executive producer hat, where I might not play every instrument, I might not write every lyric or sing everything or record everything, but like just like getting the army together of like people that are specialized in doing what they do to like come together for the greater good and like make cool art, you know?
Right.
So I'm super excited because in May we're doing Project Pink LA, which is awesome. We're gonna do it at YouTube Studios.
Oh wow.
And I'm gonna get some other like really cool people to help sponsor, which I'm excited about. But the goal this time is to raise $100,000 for breast cancer. Live stream everything, get the biggest artists we can to have the biggest platform possible, and make the biggest songs possible to essentially have these songs put out, and every royalty made from the song is just forever going into breast cancer research and foundation. That's just for eternity. It's just like getting all the creative people in there just to make the cool songs that we can, and forever that's just like going towards that cause.
Damn.
Yeah. So that's something I'm really excited about for 2019.
Yeah, definitely. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, Pink sent me a couple of files. You mind if we play?
Yeah.
How do you want to do it? You want to go one by one? Let's play like the inspiration track, and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that, and we can just play the first minute of them too. We don't have to play it the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Time. Yeah.
But all right. So, most of you listening right now will probably know that song, hopefully, because it is
banger.
It is a banger. It is a classic.
Classic.
So, give me a little introduction as to why that song spoke to you.
That song spoke to me like 2 or 3 years ago when the Running Man was a thing.
Yeah.
Remember that like viral Running Man challenge? And I like had heard that song growing up in Atlanta, because that's a So So Def release from like 1992 or 3 or something like that. And so like I kind of knew that, but I just heard it and I was like, bro, these chords are just so dope, like that R&B neo soul inspired thing, but then like the like 130 BPM kind of bop to it. So I just wanted to get inspired and do something kind of in that lane. And I did a song called PCB, and that kind of was like the inspiration musically,
right,
and tempo wise to get that. And then PCB was kind of written over just chords and a snare drum, and then from there kind of build like this production of like future bass, R&B, hip hop, 808s, drum fills, like all the kind of special stuff that makes it Pink Slip on top.
Right. And just a quick question, what does it stand for?
PCB stands for Panama City Beach, which is a. Do you know where that is?
No, I'm assuming it's in Panama City.
It's a party town in Florida for spring breakers to go get really drunk at.
So I was completely off.
Yeah. But it's just PCB is just like a classic, really ratchet city in Florida that everyone goes crazy at.
Right.
So we just want to make the song that kind of, let's just make a crazy, feel good spring break song that everyone can just go wild to. That's how it came about.
All right. Yeah, let's give it a little play.
Let's do it.
So talk to me about that.
Well, we were just talking a little chit chat while everyone was listening to the song. I was kind of explaining the story behind that song. PCB, super special song to me. Opened up a lot of doors for my project. And it came about from the inspiration of the Maibu song, the Running Man song. Those chords inspired me to just make some chords like that, and just put a kick and a snare over it and send it to my boy Ron Harper, who's based in Milwaukee, which is funny because at the time he wasn't my boy. I didn't even know. We were just like SoundCloud friends.
Yeah.
We were like, yeah, let's do a collab. And I labeled the song Panama City Beach because I was going on spring break there, and he just ran with that theme and did his thing over it. And then I kind of, we did a rap and a hook section, and then I arranged the kind of song around it to have a drop and like all the crazy bells and whistles that we like doing as producers. Like, we spaz out sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was super fun. And Ron's a great dude. Everyone listening should go check out Ron Harper. He's putting out a project soon, and he's moving to LA soon too. He's based in Milwaukee, but I didn't meet him for a more than a year after that song was released. So the internet's a cool place to like
link up,
find really talented people and link up and make music. It's funny. I have a lot of songs out
that you've never met.
I've never met. Independent stuff on major labels, like stuff that has my name, stuff that most people who know me don't even know I produced, that is out with other stuff. A lot of it's just over the internet,
right?
Which is crazy because the workflow on songs like that is so instant. It's almost sometimes faster to work over the internet than in person.
That's true.
Right? Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, one track that you did produce actually went platinum.
Yes.
And that one was with a homie in Korea?
Yeah. So that song, Panama City, and another song off my EP called To You did really well in South Korea, like charted on the South Korean like melon charts. About a year or two ago, that started bubbling, and then that kind of like was like a really cool opportunity the last year to go to South Korea and go to like some labels out there and like be a producer and a writer for some K-pop songs, which has been like the craziest, like most random fun opportunity ever, and that led me to like writing my first Billboard #1 and platinum song, which came out in October for an artist named Lay. And my buddy Mason and I co-wrote his single, which was really exciting. He's like one of the most successful like Chinese artists ever. He's like the Justin Bieber of China. Like he's
Bieber of China.
He's killing it. He's killing it because stuff out there doesn't chart Billboard #1 usually.
Yeah.
Like rarely. And I think he debuted like number 21 on the Hot 200 album charts, which is cool. So that was a really cool opportunity. And from that, I've gotten to work on a lot more K-pop stuff, which is really interesting, really different process than making stuff for out here.
But it's fun. Definitely.
Yeah.
How did you get in contact with him?
Through his A&R at SM Entertainment. They're like the biggest K-pop Asian kind of label, and I work with them really closely. And that song came about we were in Korea and we were writing a song a day for like 2 weeks last year, and that song was just one of the 10 songs that we wrote, and they were like, yeah, we love it, like let's put it out. And you never know when like a label says they're going to put a song out, if it's even going to come out, or if it's going to be the single, or if it's going to be an album cut. And that just happened to be the one that they wanted to use as a single. And they did a big music video. They traveled to they spent like $1 million on a music video, like did crazy numbers. And that was like one of a few cool like songs I've gotten to make that aren't even in English, which is really funny because I'm writing songs with words that I know will be translated to a different language. And that's like one of them, yeah.
It's an experience too, I guess, yeah.
Super fun experience.
Dope.
Some of the funnest sessions ever, like for K-pop stuff, because you don't have to worry about what the lyrics are. You just
kind of write it down. Yeah.
It's all about the melody and harmonies and stuff. So you just
have
to get to have fun and not overthink anything. And that's what slows people down a lot in the studio, is like overthinking lyrics and does it make sense? Does it not make sense? And with that kind of stuff in that world, you can kind of just go with the flow, not overthink anything. Just put it down and move on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one, shall we?
Let's do it.
So this song is a little bit different from the last song we played as far as like the vibe, which I want to talk about because I feel like we're talking about this. Your genre like list goes like on and on as far as like what you can do as a producer. So tell me about this song, why it spoke to you, what kind of creative juices it got flowing out of you.
I love that song, Just Friends by Musiq Soulchild. I mean, it's like the swing and the chords and the feel is just so effortless and like swaggy, and like it's just it feels so timeless. Like it's always gonna be cool,
right?
Like it's so you can play that to your grandkids and they're just gonna bob their heads. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I don't have a big background in R&B growing up. Like my parents were like, my dad listened to like Pink Floyd and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and stuff. Not like R&B stuff, but my close friend Mason, Masn, is like the most amazing R&B vocalist, singer, artist ever, and he's put me onto like a lot of cool R&B songs. That song being one of them, and yeah, man, we just Mason and I just like love making like super musical, tasteful R&B tunes. So that song and the harmonies and the feel inspired us to make a song about a month ago called Throwback, which isn't out yet, but it'd be cool to play it today.
Yeah.
A little sneak peek, give away what's going to happen in 2019. Mason and I are putting out a project together, and this is one of the songs coming out sometime this spring.
Dope. Let's take a listen.
Let's do it.
So the one thing I remember when you sent me that song, first off, I was going like batshit insane because I was like, damn, it's like Pink's unreleased stuff.
Yeah,
like, all right. And it said like, do not share. I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, bro. This is safe hands.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But number one thing that first caught my attention was that vocal harmony in the background, as well as just like his vocals in general, but just that like how it sat just directly right in that mix.
Yeah.
So give me the process of that.
Well, Mason and I have a process. He's the most automatic vocalist ever. Like you can give him any line, and I'm not a singer, but I can go Mason go do 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 do, and he'll just like he'll just kill it. So cutting vocals with him is super easy. And that song got so out of hand, bro. I wish you could see the session for it. It's literally like, I think we hit 100 vocal harmonies. Like there's 100 vocal harmonies in that song. So for anyone who's listening, like doesn't know about the recording process, it's like you usually start with a lead vocal, and then you might do some doubles and maybe some octaves or some stacks.
Right.
And then a harmony 1 or 2, and a lot of pop songs might have a harmony or maybe 2 harmonies on that. And a lot of R&B stuff has a lot more harmonies because that's kind of just like the style of music. And I think at one point there's like 12 voices playing at one time. But we do 3 stacks of each, so 12 times 3. We have 36 vocals, all like harmonizing and like together. And we really wanted that mix to just like have the vocals sit like right in your face, like super, super loud.
Yeah, yeah.
And just organic and feel good. And it's just like kind of an ode to like early 2000s, late 90s R&B. And just kind of like bring back that old school swag.
Yeah.
But with our own flavor, you know?
Yeah. It reminded me a lot about D'Angelo stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
He's
just the harmonies.
Yeah.
And like just that like you're talking about, like the swing, just like kind of you just like bopping your head along to that beat. Yeah. But damn, thank you so much for sending that to me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm looking at the Instagram Live. My boy Dylan from Nashville, Dirty Dylan, he played bass on that song, and he killed it. And that's why you're bobbing your head, is because that
sauce. Line.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things where I'll send him remotely another internet collab. He's a close friend, but we have that song already arranged and put together, or at least a demo of it with just the drums and like, you know, a very rough bass thing. And I'll send it to him, and an hour later he'll just send me like the nastiest, craziest bass line and kind of pick out our favorite parts and put it in the mix. And you know, I love working like remotely like that and having people do their own thing with a really good and putting it all together.
And I think that's really interesting because I think you might be the first producer who has ever said that. Because a lot of people I know, they like working in the same room. I guess because it's like really fast, easy, just like, hey, do this. But like to be able to literally be distances away, working between days over just like file transfers back and forth, like that's really crazy. Yeah.
And I like both too. I mean, there's something so special about writing songs from the ground up with the artist and with songwriters, and just, you know, as a producer's job is to kind of just steer that ship creatively on, you know, everyone in the room, just make them all on the same page, and like all have, if we're at point A and point B is our finished song, like how are we going to get from here to there? And there's so many different paths that, you know, good producers are just good decision makers. You know what I mean? It's a good song's just made from like a series of really good decisions put together into like the last final
cohesive piece.
that the whole world hears. But you know, with the remote working on just internet collabs and whatever, you know, I like that because you can get something a totally fresh pair of ears on things you're working on. You know, we start something together, and we're just so locked in what we think it is, and we have someone else touch it, and it's like, oh my god, like why didn't we think about that? Or
Right.
you get, you know, just different influences that are totally outside point of views and fresh ears. So that's what's cool about collabing on the internet, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to that final last one.
Yeah.
Actually, my favorite one.
Which one? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, let's hit it.
Let's do it.
So that was Kanye West
Mm-hmm.
from, when was that released? Do you remember?
It has to be more than 10 years ago.
Right. It's
like early, mid-2000s.
right.
Such a banger, bro.
Yeah.
Unreal.
The vibe of it.
So good.
Right. So, and the song we're going to play next, which I talked about, is actually the favorite one that Pink sent over to me. You said that you didn't intend to make it sound or like the vibe to be as similar.
No, it just happened. Because sometimes it just happens like that. That song, maybe we should play it first. I'm not sure. Then we can talk about it.
All right.
The song we're going to hear next is a song called Posers that is unreleased, coming out spring this year, featuring my close friend, Steph. We co-wrote it in my bedroom in Nashville, like earlier on in 2018. With another close co-writer of mine, Bryce Drew. She's based out here as well. And yeah.
All
Still kind of demo on mix, but I think it would be a cool opportunity to just play it.
Oh yeah.
One time for the world, yeah.
Talk about it, Pink.
Man, that one was really fun to make. That was earlier. It was probably like earlier 2018. I just woke up that morning and read one of my favorite books over again. It's called How to Steal Like an Artist, and it's super, super inspiring if you're a creative in any capacity, from music to architecture to a poet, like anything. And just like, it's a good short read. I'll let you borrow it sometime.
Thank you.
Great coffee table book. So I was just reading it, and it's just a good book on like how to pull influences from your surroundings and how to not fight inspiration and just go with the flow, and like how to make the most out of your surroundings. So I was on my morning run in Nashville, and I'm running past this statue of this piano player that's like this bronze statue down the street from me that I've never just taken the 2 seconds out of my day to see what chord he's playing. And I'm like, what is it? Well, you know what? Like, I just read this book. It's inspiring me. Like, what chord is this guy playing? And he's playing like an F minor 7. I'm like, all right, yeah, F minor 7. Like, I'm going to keep that one. And then next song I'm going to start with F minor 7, which happened to be an hour later. My girl Steph and Bryce came over to write Posers, which we just heard a little snippet of. And I was like, cool. I was like, pull up the like roads, F minor 7. Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, like B flat minor 9 or whatever. And then like E flat and then whatever. It's like, oh, cool. We're cooking. Like 2 minutes into the session, we got chords. Cool. Kick, snare. We got drums, little bass. We're like 5 minutes in and we already have like the meat and potatoes of what the song is. And then that little intro that. That's Bryce just humming into literally the same exact microphone, the SM7B. And the speakers are on in my room, and so you can hear the bleed of us. Like, yeah, like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's like really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like chipmunked it up an octave in Ableton with some distortion and reverb, and like that. We tried to re-sing that little demo later, but we couldn't do it. It was like that first reaction. Like, always be recording if you're a freak. Like, always have the mic on. And then before you know it, we got this little thing, and then we just wanted to write about like being individuals and doing our own thing and not being posers. And like a lot of people try to copy what's cool, but you got to do your own thing. So that's kind of like the whole, you know, message of Posers. And super fun song to make. I love Steph. I love her voice.
Yeah, definitely.
Really natural to just work with. So, yeah, and the American Boy reference before that, we didn't go into that, like, let's make an American Boy song. It's like, that song's just so deeply rooted in my influences. I love that song. I love Kanye. I love Pharrell. will.i.am co-produced that song, which I love will.i.am as well. So I think once we had that tempo going and then the funky bass and everything just like naturally kind of started.
Came about.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But
So let's actually talk about I think you were hinting at this before, how you've been spending a lot of time producing and helping people out with their other projects, being like their producer, their engineer, and whatnot. And now for 2019, new year, you're just trying to make more music that's for you, and talking about how these songs that we just played were like, they were like you. So give me a little background as to like when you sit down at the board, or when you sit down with whatever instrument, or you just have a melody in that head, how do you take that influence out of you, like not influence out, but like influence and bring it together with your own like style, your own vibe, and kind of mesh them and marry them together?
Well, that's kind of a tough question because every day is different, which keeps it exciting. So sometimes I do have a melody in my head, and sometimes I do just have a groove on the drums or a chord progression on the piano or whatever, and that, you know, kind of starts what we're going to make that day, whether I'm by myself or for someone else or by whatever project I'm working on. So, you know, every day is a little different, and I think for my Pink Slip project, I think it's just naturally what I enjoy making by myself, whether or not anyone would ever hear it. It's just like what's in my heart and soul. And a lot of other projects I work on aren't necessarily all the time exactly what I'm passionate about, but it's sometimes really cool opportunities, and I get to put my own flavor on it. But I'm excited for 2019 to just release a lot of new Pink Slip music that I'm really proud of, that is like really true to myself, and stuff that I would make, you know, whether or not anyone's watching me. It's just like my brain out of the speakers, you know, naturally. And I think that just comes from making music over the years and like kind of knowing what I like and what I don't like, and the tools I have around me. That's a lot of what producer sound come from, like what they use, not from the software, but like if they have, you know, like everything. So I think naturally it's like anything I make is a Pink Slip sounding thing.
Right.
Just because it's like, same with you, you make music and it's like whatever you make, it's like that's you. It's
that's
just
you,
like,
yeah.
It just is what it is. But I'm definitely capable of like taking that hat off and on. Where I go to a session and it's not for me, and I put the hat on, like I'm a writer producer today, and my job is to like make whatever the artist's vision is come out of the speakers. Like I'm the person in between the artist's brain and what the rest of the world hears.
Right. And
it's not always about me. I have to be like selfish, but also know what's a good idea and what's not, and like kind of speak up when I need to. But for my own stuff, it's just like whatever I want, you know. Yeah. So I'm excited for this year to put out some new tunes with my friends, you know.
And when you are writing for yourself or making music for yourself, for sure this happens to any creative, when you get that writer's block,
right?
How do you get out of it?
The book I mentioned earlier is a great, I mean, I can't like co-sign it enough.
Yeah.
It's really great, How to Steal Like an Artist. There's some really good techniques in there to just beat that writer's block, but sometimes you can't. And sometimes I think the most influential thing is my environment. If I'm surrounded by negativity, I'm like, I think a lot of creative people are like sponges when it comes to like their surroundings.
Yeah.
And if they're in a really good headspace of like, they're by people they trust and they're good people and they're in a good environment to create, like their best work happens. But when it's hard. So sometimes you have to like take a step back and see, you know, who you're surrounded by to beat that writer's block. But there's a lot of techniques like on the producer side, like, I don't know, getting new sounds and getting new instruments, or like learning an entirely new instrument is like a good way to beat writer's block. Or just doing things that you wouldn't usually do. A lot of time if I feel like I'm in writer's block, it's because I'm trying to do something I've already done before.
Gotcha.
And the easiest way to beat that is to just like try something that you've never done before, or collaborate with someone who does something totally different than you. If you're making like, I don't know, if you're making jazz stuff, collaborate with like a hip hop person, or if you're making hip hop, collaborate with like a heavy metal artist or something. And you'll learn so much. And those, even if you won't directly go make heavy metal music from that, like you might pull different influences from that and like help break out of that artist or that writer's block, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking about like the sponge, because I completely agree with you on that, because you are what your like surroundings are.
Totally.
Is there anything non-musical that you do that helps, whether it be like a routine or a different
Yeah.
hobby that like kind of keeps like your mentality and like
Mm.
kind of your spirituality kind of like in place to give you that like, okay, like I know what I'm doing
Right.
once I get into the studio?
That's so important. Cause I also have the habit of just like locking myself in the studio for like, for literally sunrise to sunset, like
Mhm.
just like in the cave, just like
Yeah.
working. And sometimes you could just get mentally, emotionally, spiritually drained from that.
Yeah.
I love running. I think going
Mm.
outside and just getting, especially out. I mean, bro, it's like 70 degrees out in LA today. Just go for a run, catch some good like fresh air, and just get to like meditate and have like a clean slate to come back and go to the studio and create. And yeah, I don't know. I find a lot of influence from hanging around other people, and a lot of like the songs I write are just conversational
That happens.
things that I meet someone, or I am just with someone who I already know, and we have a conversation that kind of sparks an inspiration, and then I kind of will. I'm a weirdo, bro. Sometimes I'll take voice notes of, of everything, or like even conversations. I'll just kind of write down a few lines that I think are worth remembering and put them into the next song, and yeah, I think I think balance is really important for creative people to just like putting it a balance of like putting in your 10,000 hours and be like grinding and working, but also just like living your life and be inspired by like the things that are around you, because you look down and then you look back up and a year passes and you're like, wow, like, you gotta like take some time to just look around and be inspired and be able to focus on things outside of music, because that will indirectly make you more focused on music, whether you know it or not sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. You can't go too crazy.
Right.
can't.
Like you said, balance.
Yeah,
balance is the key.
Balance and everything, yeah. Yeah.
It is also the new year. So I want to ask you, because I feel like what you're talking about with the 10,000 hours thing of how like there's always room for like progressing and moving forward. What are like, to say it in like very simplest terms, like what are your resolutions for this year?
I kind of I did some my family always does resolutions together, like first day of the year, whether we're with each other or not, like over the phone. It's shout out to my pops, like he's always pushed us to set goals and like do our thing. And I have a few like on a creative level, on like a financial level for myself, and like also on like a physical, it's like well-being level. But yeah, I mean, I think creatively this year, I just want to keep growing as a songwriter, and I'm always growing as a producer, but just like I wasn't really like writing songs like 2 or 3 years ago, and now I've grown into that position a lot. So just like keep growing that, and also, just keep on like thinking outside the box, and just keep on pushing boundaries, and just, like before, just like not keep doing the same thing, just keep mixing it up and finding new sounds and exploring new worlds of production. That's kind of like my goal, is just like do new stuff and move forward. Set some push the limits,
Yeah. All right. I think that's about as much as I wanted to ask you, but
Amazing.
I think one last thing is, I remember you're saying you're going on tour.
I am.
So
Yeah.
give me a little info about that before we head off.
Yeah, if this spring, if you live in like one of the 25 cities that I'll be at for February to April, I'm going on tour with my close friend Anthony Russo, and we're opening up for an artist named Chelsea Cutler on like a 25 stop American tour, like all over. So I've never been on the tour bus before. I'm like half scared, half really, really excited. So we'll see how that
Plays out.
See how that plays out. I can't wait. It's gonna be super fun. And also gonna make some cool music on the road, I'm sure.
Dope.
So
Are you DJing or?
I'm
what are you
DJing
doing?
with my friend Anthony Russo. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're anywhere in the 25 cities between February to April, check out my boy Pink.
Check it out. Check it out.
Well, once again, Pink, thank you so much for stopping on in. This was a really amazing pleasure to have you in here.
It was amazing being here, bro. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And for those of you listening, thank you for tuning in for today on Cold Emails and Hot Coffee. I'm going to leave you off. It's going to be about 3 p.m. in about 5 minutes. The next show is, I always butcher this, It's called Big, Nice, Nice Girls, Nice Books, and Nice Big Thoughts.
Yo, sign me up. That sounds great. I'm going to stick around.
Have a great day, everyone.
Peace.